For over 20 years, the Fire Store has equipped first responders with the best in firefighting gear. Discover seasonal savings on the gear you trust and visit thefirestore.com to shop everything but the truck.
Greetings and welcome to the Women in Fire radio show. Today our topic will be, so you want to be a firefighter. Thank you to Fire Engineering for allowing women in fire to be part of their radio show. I am Lisa Baker, the Southwest Trustee for Women in Fire. Today I have an excellent panel of guests. I have Deputy Chief Heather Mosdeen, who is from Fremont, California, and is a Deputy Chief there. I have Kim Phillips from Houston, Texas, who is a district chief.
Hello.
I have Paige, who is from Forsyth County, Georgia, which is near Atlanta, Georgia. And then Kat, who is from Evans Fire District. So I'm sure all of us, we've all been in the fire service for a while now, have had people come up to us and say, hey, so I want to be a firefighter. Or say, oh, you were a firefighter. That sounds cool. How do I become a firefighter? So I assume that when we're asked this question, we advise, what advice do we give them? Does it differ from a prospective female to a male inquiry? Do we just tell them the basics, or do we first ask why do they want to be a firefighter before we begin to help them? I have had people ask, hey, a firefighter makes a lot of money. You get a lot of time off. How can I do that? Knowing deep down that their perspective of a firefighter is not really what the fire service is probably looking for. So my first question is, when someone asks us how to be a firefighter, or I want to be a firefighter, it's kind of two different questions. How do you be a firefighter? I want to be a firefighter. The want to be a firefighter probably has done some research and knows a little bit about the fire service and such. And I'm just speaking from experience. There's a young kid at the gym I go to that said, I want to be a firefighter. And then I asked him, do you know what a firefighter does? And he actually knew. He really wanted it as a career. He's going to graduate this year. So I knew that he deep down knew what a firefighter was and what one does, or what one does. So when someone says, hey, I want to be a firefighter, what is your first response?
Well, I tell them it's the best job in the world, but I also ask the same questions that you just asked, which is, okay, tell me a little bit more. Why do you want to be a firefighter, and what do you think firefighters do? Because I think that's where you have to start, is where they're coming from. There's a lot of different things behind it, and as you said, what people think we do and what we actually do can be two different things.
That is so true.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Paige. I agree with you, Chief Baker. I always start with, what do you know about it? Like, it's a great job. It's a great career. It's definitely not for everybody. So what do you know about it? What interests you? What have you done? What have you done to prepare yourself? And we kind of start there and then see where the conversation goes. Depending on what they know about it, you can gather information really quickly about their gaps in knowledge and sort of fill those in, or you can see if they're, how serious they are and where they've headed, and then sort of help supplement what they've done to prepare themselves or give them some other guidance. But yeah, starting off with where they're at and what they know about it is a great place to start.
I guess my question, not an answer, I'm going to start off with a question, is to the panel. If someone asks you, is that advice different from, get off me, mosquito, boys to girls? Or is it the same? The initial blush of inquiry, do you tell them the same thing? Hey, what do you know? Why are you doing this? Or do you give them a word of caution to the women sometimes? I don't know.
I think to answer that question, it really depends on what sort of information they have about it. And I can't, you can't blankly say, yeah, it's different for girls and boys, at least from my perspective, and probably from all of our perspectives as women in fire. Now, if you were asking this question to one of our male counterparts, it might be different. But I think for our perspective,
Okay.
knowing that it's not a job for everybody, but also that women are very capable of doing it, I think is a different perspective
Sure.
than maybe a lot of people have. So I don't think, I mean, I think we all have biases and we all make judgments based on the person that's asking that question. Like, what
Right.
does it look like? How did they ask it? Like, there's all these things that play into it, but I don't think
Mhm.
strictly on gender lines, at least not for me.
Okay.
Chief Mosley, and I kind of agree with you. When you ask them, they say they want to be a firefighter, and like we just said, the majority of we're all going to say, "Well, what do you know about the fire service?" I mean, like I'm not even going to sugarcoat this. When the person said, "Hey, you were a firefighter. I heard they make a lot of money. I want to be a firefighter." And my follow-up question was, "Well, so what do you know about the fire service?" And they knew absolutely nothing. So
Yeah.
instead of like, I mean, it probably wasn't the best way to handle the situation, like thinking back on it, but I knew this person was just looking to make money. And so when I said, well, do a little bit of research, and if you're still interested in it, then come back to me. And even gave them that, the local county fire department was having an open house at a fire station and said, hey, if you're really interested in it, I'll meet you at that fire station and you can see actually what a firefighter they're gonna, they're recruiting. You can see what a firefighter does and such. And it was like, oh, that's on my day off. I don't want to go there. I have stuff to do, yaddy batty daddy. So at that point, you kind of know at that point that they're really not that interested in it. They're not, that engaged and wanting to really find out the ins and out of what a fire department is all about. Um, I don't
Totally.
think
There's a lot of jobs that you can do to make a lot of money. It just depends,
exactly,
what work are you willing to put into it? And that absolutely cannot be the only reason for getting into this profession.
exactly.
Or you're set yourself up for failure.
Exactly. I mean, I think once you like start maybe working with somebody, and Chief Phillips, you made a good point. Does it become different between a female and a male? I think the initial answer is no, that the process is going to be the same for a female and a male firefighter to try to be a firefighter.
Right.
Put in the work, put in the applications and such. I think there's things that we need to tell both genders, though, about the fire service. I mean, I think there's still that perceptive that the fire department just goes on fire calls, when I think probably what 85% of it is medical calls. And so I think there's once you have that discussion with them and they can really answer and articulate why they want to be a firefighter, is when the second part of the question, after you set them down the path of what to do, and then you keep in touch with them. But at some point, I think you do need to tell them the other parts about the fire department, like the type of calls they'll go on and such.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, for if I'm talking to a female who wants to get into the fire service, I will definitely start with, it's very physical and you have to be willing to meet the physical demands of the job. Where if you're talking to a young man, that might not be the first point that you bring up. So the conversation may be a little bit different, but I don't think overall it's different advice for male and female.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is either at the beginning. When you're telling them how to become a firefighter, it's just it's almost generic, so to speak. That they're going to have to have an EMT or paramedic or firefighter one, whatever the prerequisites to apply for what the departments are. And then about the physical agility test, whether it's a CPAT, um, or whatever physical agility test they are going to be taking. And if it is the CPAT, lead them to how to register for it and how to do the practice and such. So I think you're right. I don't think at the start it is. And I don't think, I mean, you don't want to persuade someone, like tell them the bads about the job right at the beginning. I mean, especially if it's something that they want to pursue.
Well, I
So,
think as leaders, and we can also at a certain point uh, have that conversation that says, okay, there are very few, to my mind, and you guys correct me if you see otherwise. So the way we do things physically, right, most of the time as fire service leaders, we can guide those candidates and have those conversations that say, here are some techniques that can help you with
yeah.
the physical side of it. For a lot of us, there are many different ways to get the same job done, and brute force is the way a lot of guys do it, and they're very successful. And for some of us, me in particular, I mean, I just found there are other ways that you do it, and it's just as fast and it's just as good. But you know, that's how you get through that. And we can guide some people that are trying to come into the fire service along those lines.
No, and I think I agree with that, I mean, there is, I mean, a lot of it's technique. So to show them the proper technique and such, and that's why, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chief Mosding, but I think the CPAT actually might do that actually, of show people the proper technique to do the aspects of that particular physical agility test. But we're talking about like the physical part of it now. Do we get into the mental part? Like, I mean,
Oh, absolutely. You should absolutely get into the mental part of it. I always tell people who want to get into it. And, yeah, and again, this conversation develops from what they know. But if somebody comes in with like the schedule's great and the pay is great and I want to help people, I like to remind them, like, you know, the schedule is great, but it also is one in which you're going to miss birthdays and holidays and you have to work, you know, around the clock for most of us. And so that's a great perspective to think that the schedule is great, but it's not always great. There are plenty of things that you're going to miss as a firefighter. But to answer your question about the mental health, absolutely. It's so easy for all of us to get trapped in this, like, are you physically capable of doing it? And we do not enough research into, are people mentally capable of handling this job before they get hired?
Absolutely.
and you made a good point, Chief Mosding. I mean, when we're talking about, you know, you're going to talk about, as you know, as you keep talking about the schedule and such, and you know, I think a lot of times we forget to tell them, well, the process involves a background check and a drug test, and during that background check, some departments will be looking into your social media accounts. So what have you posted on social media that could possibly not be the most flattering posts that an agency would want to see a member of their department post, whether you're on duty or off duty. And we've had this conversation before about social media and such, but we're still seeing high-ranking officials post things on social media that are bizarre, in my opinion. That we have leaders and some of them are just firefighters. The things they're posting on social media. I mean, I think what a lot of people forget, and I'm getting a little bit off topic, I'm sorry, but whether you're in uniform or not, and you're posting something on social media, I'm sure at some point on that social media feed, there's some pictures of you in a uniform or where it says work status or whatever. You posted you work for such and such a fire department or whatever, and now you're posting your personal opinions of whatever it may be that's not probably, I'm going to go there, politically correct or incorrect. So is that something that that you would warn a prospective candidate about? Hey, social media is, you know, the background check's going to include social media. It's going to include your past work performances. It's going to include, you know, drug testing.
I think there's different like levels of what we tell people coming to the fire service. Because if someone approaches me and just says like, "Hey, I'm interested in the fire service," I'm going to tell them like, "Okay, here's the steps that you have to take." Versus if I have someone who's doing like a CPAT check off or someone who's actively going through fire academy, I'm going to give them a little bit more advice on testing. I always warn people in fire academy, like, hey, just so you guys are prepared, like testing is soul sucking. It is a very long process. It can be very expensive. You don't get a lot of feedback. You put a lot of time into it, and a lot of times it could take months. So just stuff like that. And then for people online, I think I offer different advice than people who are graduating, you know, going onto a department after graduating academy or being in their probationary year. I try not to give different advice to men or women because I don't want them to form different biases, but there is some stuff that I wish people would have told me as a female firefighter and warned me about and said, hey, you may encounter this. Here's what to do, because when you get into certain situations as a female firefighter and no one's talked to you about it, you kind of feel like you're all alone until later on in your career you start meeting people and you realize that, hey, you're not the only one that encounters some of these issues that females do in the fire service, and men can too. But I think there's like different levels of advice we can give to people, because if you just tell everybody at the beginning, like someone says, oh, I'm just interested in the fire service, I'm just thinking about it, and you're like, well, let me tell you about PTSD
Right.
and all the other things that happen in the fire service, they'll be like, oh my gosh, maybe not.
Right.
And really we're starting to hurt for people, I think, all over in the fire service, and have had issues for a while. So it's not for everyone, but it may be for someone that doesn't know the fire service is for them. So I like to let them see if it's right for them. Obviously, the job is extremely physically demanding. And I told a student the other day that was trying to get into fire academy, she didn't pass her CPAT check off. And I told her, like, this is a physically demanding job. Yep, this test was definitely originally designed for men, so sometimes it's a little bit harder for us. Every female, no. I've seen some bodybuilders go smoke the guys in every event, but you're going to be working for the rest of your career. It never stops. I told her, I said, this test does not ever get easier. You just get better, you get stronger, and you will as your career goes on. So it's definitely like a where they are in their career thing, and finding the right time and opportunity to tell people certain aspects.
You just made a really good point. Yeah, there at some point, I mean, we're all going to get people that are, you're right, at different levels. And Chief Mosting, and I think even Chief Phillips, and everyone's kind of announced it or voiced this. You're going to get people at different levels asking you, I want to be a firefighter. Some of them, like the young guy at the gym, he's done his research. He knows that's what he wants to do. He could tell you about the fire department. He could tell you, I mean, as opposed to, hey, I want to do this because I want to help people. I know, I want to serve the community. So he knows what it's about, right? He knows that they work 24 hours. He knows all this. And you're going to like probably give him different advice as opposed to the person who says, well, yeah, you got a great schedule and you make a lot of money, and it's like, you could just tell, like, kind of almost like what their level of really, how much they really want to be a firefighter just by that. And someone like that, you're going to kind of say, well, go, like I said, it probably wasn't the right answer, but it's probably like, well, go research and get back to me. And then realizing it wasn't the right answer. Hey, I'll meet you at this place to go do it. Oh, I got to work that day. So it wasn't there. It was just like, hey, I heard this job makes a lot of money and I'm off a lot, so I want to do this job, with no knowledge of anything about what the job entails. And you're right, Kat. There's different levels of like some people are like fresh out of Firefighter One Academy, or they're getting ready to go to a Firefighter One Academy, and they want to like ask about what it's going to be like and such. But you're right, and we do need at some point to tell them, it's not all, roses at some, and at some point, like, you have to let them know. I mean, there's still people that I think that just think fire departments respond just to fires. I still have people ask me, how come there's always a fire engine and an ambulance at a house? Why are they both there? Seems like a waste of money. And yeah.
Now, we did a camp for a few years in Houston for young ladies, for high school age young ladies, if they were interested. We recruited from the high schools, and we did these surveys on them, these really comprehensive surveys to find out, because in Houston, I don't think we've made 2% yet. We may have we got over it, then we went back down. But when we asked the inquiry of the young ladies, we're like, well, why haven't you considered this as a career option? I mean, you're fit, you're fine, you play soccer, whatever your thing is. And the thing we found that scared them the most is like, they don't know anything about starting chainsaws or starting. I'm like, well, yeah, but we teach you to do that. And that was one of the advice that when I talk to young ladies is like, look, if there's something you don't know how to do, we're going to teach you how to do it. If this is what you want to do, don't worry about that, right? There's plenty of dudes that can't start chainsaws either. I've seen them. So when I talk to ladies, I'm always a little more careful, because I know we're all coming, and we'd be lying if we said different. we're all coming in with a little bit of hesitation of we're different, right? We're clearly different. And is it different for us? So I always tell the girls, we'll teach you. If you really want to do this, don't worry about it. And stop watching Chicago Fire. If I could get people to stop doing that, that would be so helpful. Gee whiz.
But we run those saves every day, Kim, like
No,
multiple times a day.
yeah.
Don't you know that?
Have you seen me? Do I look like that person? No, that's not at all what happens. So, yeah, I get it. And Paige, you said something, Chief Paige, that managing those expectations, I think, is important too, and telling them what they're really going to do on the job.
Sure. Yeah, but the interesting thing for us out here, for my department, is we bring people in off the street and we put them through EMT and fire. Now, some of them may already have EMT, but
We do the
of them
same.
don't,
Yeah,
don't
we do the
have
same
a
thing.
clue. So
I-
yeah.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times they get that eye opener as they go through recruit school. And they may have talked to a few people here and there, but yeah, it's interesting and I guess a little bit different for them.
Right.
Do you think that washes a lot of people out?
Potentially, I think I haven't figured out yet why our fire department doesn't get many women applicants, and it may be like what Kim said. I'm not sure. I do know, in reference, Kim, to what she said, the young people we're getting today, quite a few of them, male and female, they've never run a lawnmower, chainsaw,
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Like it's across the board now.
Yeah, it's a 2-cycle engine. That's what I tell them all the time. It's a 2-cycle engine. We can teach you in 5 minutes. Just hang on. But
Right.
the guy who couldn't wash dishes was a little bit of a challenge, but we got over that.
You don't have dishwashers?
No, had no idea. He was really eager to help, but he was just all, where's the dishwasher, Mom? You're looking at him. Child. I mean,
Well,
I too am befuddled why you don't think of everything. Anyways, I don't know. Do y'all think that what the old timers, I'm going to use that knowing that most of us are old timers,
Kim,
old people is different than now?
as far as people wanting to be firefighters, or
Yeah, because it used to be, I know our old timers, like back in the day, we didn't have to, VCRs like you young whippersnappers. I'm like, come on, man. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's different. What advice you would give people?
I think it's across the board, and Chief Mosley might be able to chime in on this a little bit, but I don't think departments are getting as many applications as they used to get previously.
I don't think so either. And I think part of that is like this whole, I could work from anywhere, I can travel, I can work, remote from here or remote from there. Where when you work for the fire department, you kind of have to be geographically set, right? There's less of that ability. So I know that that's what we're seeing. I'm in, the San Francisco Bay Area. So a lot of people choose tech over getting dirty. But that's one of the things for sure we've seen is people have no idea how to use tools. And one of the first things I say to them, like, this job requires you to get your hands dirty. Like, you're going to get dirty. You have to be someone who's willing to sort of get into the mess. Otherwise, this is not for you. But also these kids are bringing this sort of tech ability that it brings a whole different perspective to the job, which I think is fascinating too.
I do too. I hate, one of my pet peeves is people that say kids these days. Mom, hey, killer, you would know how to do CarPlay if it wasn't for these kids these days. So,
you're right. I mean, it's so true.
It's I think we've seen probably in the last 10 years a drastic change in the fire service as far as, like, number one, the amount of people that are applying, the amount of people that want to be firefighters. And I don't know, Chief Mosley, do you think COVID or had any effect on this? The COVID pandemic of people not wanting to be in these essential jobs, so to speak, where they actually had to go to work and others didn't?
Maybe people, but I think it's more of the ability to work from anywhere thing that has really sort of changed. And just like with the, with tech being so lucrative for so many people. But I think what Chief Page is doing, like bringing people off the street into the fire department, I think that's kind of the way of the future. I think we have to get back to this, like hiring people out of the community and turning them into firefighters, because I don't know about your departments, but like my department is seeing more and more people like moving further and further away, less people from the community. And I really, really feel strongly that the if you come up in a community, if you're from a community, you're going to take care of that community so much better than somebody who takes a plane ride in to take. And I'm not down, I'm not putting down my firefighters that fly into work, because
No.
they do a great service. But I think there's something to be said for somebody who shops in those stores, who that's their neighbors. Those are the parks you take your kids to. I think there's just a different level of ownership. And I think that we would do well in the fire service if we kind of got back to that.
I agree with you, Chief Mosdine. I think that the ownership portion has kind of like especially with the 4896 schedule, where people pretty much could live wherever they want to live and just come in. But you brought up a good question. So like, and we're going to get into it in a minute, but like when you're interviewing people, I'm sure we've all sat on entry level interview panels, and someone will sit across from you and say, I want to help and I want to serve the community. I want to be there for the community. I want to do this. I'll do anything, blah, blah, blah. And then it comes time for a community event. And if they're on duty, they don't want to do it. They're mad they have to go do it. And if they're off duty, you're not going to see them. So it's like, you want to say to that person or some of them that, you know what, I sat across from the table and you said you'd do anything to get this job. You said you do this ABCD thing. And now you say, we're paying you to be here. And now you don't want to go to a community event. So I think that's changed, I think, with the younger generation to some degree. In my personal opinion, where in the past, when there was some kind, especially a union event, whatever, you'd see a lot of people show up to it. And there was a pride, and I want to help get this initiative passed, or want to help get this tax initiative passed, or whatever. And now it's you're not seeing as many people wanting to go volunteer on their off days to do this. And I fully understand there's a work-life balance. But these are the same people that, sit across from you and say, I'll do anything for this job. I do anything to make this department better. I do anything for the community.
Well,
So,
I can't speak for everyone, but I like the idea of a work-life balance. And we talk about PTSD and suicide prevention and all the things that we should, right? It's important. But we also don't think about the things that we do. When I say we, I mean fire departments, we do as an organization to drive people to the brink of insanity. So when we talk about recruitment, we need to be honest with ourselves too. I mean, I know every single one of us loves what we do. We've been in for, 20 years, or hey ducks, whatever they're doing. But we need to be brutally honest. The fire service still doesn't pay like you could. I mean, like we should be, for putting our lives on the line. There's still legislation out there that's preventative for firefighters that get cancer. I mean, they fight us on that too. Workers' comp fights us on that. Y'all may have different experiences, so I'm just talking from mine. And then we try and talk people, hey, I want you to come into this job that doesn't pay very much, but I want you to give all your time to it, possibly your life. Certainly you're going to get COVID. You might get cancer, but we're not going to really help you when you do that. And then when you go into an active shooter situation, if you get shot, we're going to terminate you in 2 years because your femur's fractured and you can't get back. So yeah, come on in, man. It's easy. I think we need to be honest with ourselves before I've rehearsed this. Before we can be honest with other people, right? So when I tell somebody, hey, coming into the fire service, that's one of the first things I tell them is like, hey, it's fun. It's fun playing combat pickleball in the bay, and it's fun trying out, frying Twinkies and fish oil. That was, all that sort of, team building. But there's going to be a time when your soul's going to get sucked out of you for something that happens, right? And then the only people to help you're on your own, right? We don't do anything to help prepare people for that. So when we start talking about recruiting people, I think we need to acknowledge we're going to have to start fundamentally helping ourselves first before we can be an attractive organization. I mean, we're just now in Houston we're still befuddled by the fact that women get pregnant and might need different clothes. We just had a young lady who addressed that. Thank goodness. But how is this making it attractive? I love my job. Let me say that in case anyone I work for is listening. They're not. But we need to be honest, right? Honesty is the only way to move forward and be innovative, I think.
I think the push.
Go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead, Kat.
I think the push for mental health and And the post-COVID, everybody wants to work from home. That was the push for more work-life balance because I think before everyone just put their head down and worked. Now that not everyone is going to work anymore, I think it's starting to look more attractive for people to be at home on their 4 days or whatever schedule you guys work when you're off. But the push for mental health and the awareness of burnout now in these
Right.
conversations that we're having, I think people are realizing once you give them those lists of symptoms for burnout, for PTSD, for whatever it is, I think people are realizing like, hey, I need to, if I take my days off as days off, when I come back to work, I'm performing a lot better. So I think people are starting
Yeah.
to realize that because you fight, which I think it's fair to say it's probably a lot easier to get a fire service job now than it used to be. I've only been in the fire service for 7.5 years, and I remember when I was first looking at testing for Denver Fire, had thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of applicants, and I've had people tell me, hey, I used to be testing against 19,000 other people. And I think when I was going, it was like 4 or 5. So it's gone down, but you used to have to really fight for this job. And now a lot of us are really short and having trouble finding applicants. And I think once you win that fight and you get on a department, like that's it. That's your life. You're a firefighter. You'll give anything for it. So I think that's also had an effect on it too, is that we're so desperate for people. And I think people are figuring that out. So there might be a little bit more of a sense of entitlement now rather than, hey, I earned this job and true probie culture or recruit culture of the old school fire service where like you're going to really earn your spot here and earn your way here. I think all of those have had an effect on it. And now people are like, oh, well, I just worked my shift and no, I'm going to go home. I don't feel indebted to this fire department. I need a break or I need to go disconnect and take time to myself instead of filling my schedule with community events or overtime or whatever it might be.
Kat, you just made some really good points. And I think you're right. There is a little bit of a sense of entitlement, I think, because, I mean, if you look on social media, you'll see how many departments are hiring. And maybe I'm really off base on this, but I don't never remember seeing so many departments doing lateral transfers. And it's like there's humongous departments doing, I don't even know if humongous is a word. There's many departments doing,
It is.
I'm making up words
It
right
is.
now.
It's a good word.
There's numerous departments right now doing lateral transfers. And I know when I was, you would never, someone would come in the fire service and they were pretty much locked into that department, especially if it was a larger organization.
Mm-hmm.
And now you see people jumping from one department to another department to another department. And sometimes, yeah, it's because they live closer and they want the life work balance and such. But we're talking, firefighters who are going to have to go through a whole nother, probably 6 to 8 week recruit academy and such and be on probation again and such. So you're right. It's almost like, okay, I'm going to get this job because I want this, but oh, this looks better to me, so I'm going to go there, which when I never used to see that happening. So I
But at
think,
the same time, don't you think a lot of people, firefighters, are notwithstanding that the political environment has made it so that, I mean, a lot of you that have unions or, like our union, you got to negotiate for your benefits and your this and your retirement and all that sort of stuff. So I don't like, I disagree with the panel respectfully. I don't like the word entitled. Why shouldn't they be entitled? I mean, if I'm going to have a job that I love, I think it's okay to expect to get good benefits and a retirement and, appropriate safety stuff. I don't know.
no, and I agree with you, Kim. And by entitlement, I meant it's kind of like what's in it for me. And I'm not talking about wages and safety
Oh,
equipment
okay.
and the basic things that we should more like, why should I work overtime? Why should I
Oh, I
go?
gotcha.
Yeah, no,
I dig it. I
I
dig it.
totally
Okay.
agree with you that everybody should be provided with the essentials of, benefits and health insurance and uh, job
Basic living
protection, basic.
wages.
It's
Yeah.
more of a like people know that we need them now instead
Yes.
of like the fight that it was
Yeah.
to apply for jobs. And like maybe we should stop telling people that, but
Huh.
be like, no, there's no, there's 10,000 people testing for this job. You're one of 10,000, but
That's right. Look alive, everybody.
yeah.
That's a good point. That yeah, they know that I think the majority of people that really want to be a firefighter know that everyone is looking for firefighters right now. We're in that wave where almost every agency is hiring on a regular basis, and but then on the opposite side of this too, I mean, certain cities are still in financial crisis. I mean, certain cities are on the verge of bankrupt and such. So, I mean, if someone was to come to you and ask you, I want to be a firefighter and this is my dream job and name a department and we all know, I mean, we're all pretty well educated that certain cities are going to be better than other cities to work for. Would you steer someone away from a certain agency?
Sure.
I think, and I do tell people who are trying to get in, like to do their homework and make sure that the fit is right for them. Because, like a large department, a small department, an urban metro department, like there's different things that come along with it. And then the culture of the department, I think, especially for women, the culture of the department really matters. And it's hard to pick up on when you're just applying, but the more you can sort of get to know some of the people in the workforce, the better off you're going to be. Because I mean, we all talked about this, like once you get in, you don't want to leave. So you're kind of stuck there. So make sure that you pick a department that's going to be where you want to be for, 20 plus years.
Sure. We used to do a thing, and we still do it. When we have young people come into the academy, we do it for boys too. I know this is a woman-centric thing, but we also know that women have special challenges. We get an older girl, I'm an old girl now, to kind of mentor the little ones and just tell them, because sometimes we run into issues. I know we've all done it where we're like, you did what? What'd you say to me? And we will never allow abuse, of course, ever. There's no excuse for it ever. But at the same time, we got to understand it's sort of a rough and ready culture. And sometimes we got to talk the new ones off the ledge and go, hey, easy killer before we go crazy. And we've found that's been really helpful. So I tell young people wanting to get in, hey, don't worry, apply. We're not going to leave you alone, especially the young girls. So maybe the boys hate that. Maybe they want a mom figure too, but there's plenty of dudes out there that could help them. I hate to be mean. I love the dudes too, but
No, and again, Kim, I agree with you on that. And then once a woman gets in the fire service, it's kind of, or I don't want to say responsibility, but to mentor those women and
absolutely. Yeah,
improve
because we're
them.
still so new in it. And I mean, every time a girl comes to a station, you got to go through the dating phase. I call it the dating phase. Everybody's super nice for a little while and they mind their manners, but they don't do that when a dude comes. I'm like, it's okay. You should mind your manners. But, and women who don't mentor other women, I have no patience for that. None at all. So,
And I think part of that mentoring is telling the female firefighter how the males are going to respect her. And it's not by, oh, I'll cook, I'll clean, I'll do all this.
oh,
It's like,
no,
yeah, it's by knowing the job. And
right.
sometimes that's that difficult conversation you're actually going to have with the females. Like they joke around with you and everything. And, the person's going to come back with, well, they do that because I like you. Well, they might like you, but they don't respect you. They're going to respect you if you know how to do the job, which is how to use the equipment, if they send
Right.
you to go get a piece of equipment, you know where it is and how to use it and such. And
Sure,
not,
absolutely.
just to run around and be cutesy.
Is that an option?
No, it's not.
Okay, I didn't know.
Not an option.
Okay, all right, just checking.
It, it should never be an option.
Really? Okay, I agree. But yeah, we had a sidebar. We had some young ladies, beautiful young ladies that wanted to do a calendar, and we were like, hey, there's really not enough of us to make that a thing. Like when the dudes do it, there's a bunch, but they did it. They're just as excited when you bring donuts. Why do you got to take off your clothes? So that was just me, but I'm kind of a stick in the mud. But
Um, so when we're like guiding these people that want to be firefighters, do we tell them like how long the process might be? Because some of them might not realize that it could take, I mean, it probably doesn't take as long now because not as many people are applying and there's high demand for firefighters, but this process could take up to a year, 2 years. I mean, some people try to be a firefighter. I don't know if it's still true in the day, but when I was going, there was people in my academy that had been trying to be a firefighter for 6, 7 years and finally had got.
oh, yeah, same here. You apply multiple different places, and um, I do. I tell them, hey, it's a long process, but we pay for it while you're there, right? We're paying you to get educated to do your job, so that's okay. Some departments might not do that. I don't know, but
I'm very honest with people. Out here, it is extremely expensive. When I was testing, there was a department that I tested for in between the physical ability tests, the online tests that you have to take, the application fees, records I had to request. I spent $400 testing for this department. So it is, yeah, you don't pass that physical ability test the first time, you got to pay another 100, another 50, another 100, another 50 until you pass that thing. So I am very honest with people because I think testing is one of the most soul sucking parts of the beginning of the fire service. It just is, you don't get any feedback. You spend hours filling out the applications. We were actually just talking about this before the podcast. Nobody tells you that when you're testing for a fire department that you're going to have to call every single one of your exes and get their addresses and phone numbers and say hi to them again. Like it's stuff like that.
Thank you for the
Yeah.
background. Yeah. I mean, I
Those
think like if we tell them it's going to be like, you need patience, persistence, and dedication, and it's going to be hard work just before you even get the job,
Yeah.
so that they
Definitely no
understand that,
matter.
it's not like applying to In-N-Out Burger or Whataburger where you just put in an application and in 5 days they might hire you. So
you're showing
Yeah.
your roots, Lisa. You're showing your Whataburger roots. And so,
It's definitely hard everywhere, but it's interesting for me to hear that you have to pay for all that because in our process, that's something that you come in, you take the PAT, like you don't have an application fee to do that.
right.
Yeah.
We're the
Out
same.
here,
Like,
yeah.
it's completely
Out
different.
here, you have to pay for, I think the CPAT is running like $125 now or something like that.
Wow.
To sign up for the National Testing Network. I think I just looked, it's $70 just to take the test. And then every department most departments have an application fee too, anywhere from $30 to like $50.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then every
Wow.
department you send your National Testing Network scores to, I think is like $12 or $15 now. I think it's 15 now. So yeah, they're making some money on it. It's expensive out here.
Hey, for all you
That's
people listening out there, Houston is hiring and it costs nothing.
yeah.
Nothing at all. Well, you'll pay
We're not enough.
eventually, but at the initial, no, you're not going to pay anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
So we talked a little bit about, the negative, well, it's not really negative parts of the job, but the parts of the things that we see that other people probably will never see in their lives. And it's at some point, I don't know if it's something that you want to tell somebody when they're trying to be a firefighter, or
No.
do we wait until they get into like, I think we've had a discussion about this before on a podcast, things that should be taught in academy or recruit school. When when we tell them things that they're going to see that that the normal person off the street would never see or have to deal with.
Well, I think that's something that, I mean, that's prior to the application. Well, we're talking prior to them being hired, right? What
Yeah, we're
advice?
talking about when they come to you and say, "Hey, I want to be a firefighter," and then you gauge of what level do they know what a firefighter does and such. And I mean, we all have admitted, I mean, it's a great job. It's like, I mean, the work schedule's good. I mean, you have great health benefits, early
Let's not be
retirement.
nuts. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, everything. I mean, a lot of people are drawn to the job because every day it's something different. It's not just a mundane job where you're sitting at a desk every day and every day you're going in, dealing with the angry customer. Well, you might deal with an angry patient, but every day you're not just answering the phone that somebody's saying their Wi-Fi or something's not working that day. So it's the excitement of something's different every day, the excitement that you are making a difference. I think some people still think that, they were looked at as a hero. And so when do we, say, okay, yeah, that's great, and that is what, occurs. But on the opposite side of that, how do you say it? Do you think, well, there's things you should see that you're going to see that no one else is ever going to see, and you need to be prepared, or, I mean,
I don't know. I think that's something that gets taught in the academy. But I mean, how do you teach someone the horrible things that happen, right? Fortunately, it's rare, should be rare. I don't know. I think we should be on again, back to being honest. Like this is a job I think is a calling almost, right? Yeah, it's a fun job, and you get good time off and there's benefits and blah blah. But I think if you're really good at this job and you really mean to do good, you'll understand it's a calling. And I think that comes to you later. The first few years, you're just the first 5 years of your career, you're just trying to survive and figure out where they keep the mops, right? I mean, that's it. Then after that, I think you put that down. Y'all go ahead.
I mean, Chief Mosey, help me out on this one. So and I think that we were both on a call where we had individuals that it was their second or third shift on that incident and had never seen anything like that fire. And I mean, when do we wait till that happens till we do something? Or like in recruit school, do we say, hey, there's going to be things that you're going to see that are going to live with you for your life?
I think you have to present that, hopefully before the application through some kind of, I don't
Orientation, maybe?
open houses or whatever, but because what you don't want is investing money in these people for PPE and then for them to bail out of the academy because they didn't know what they were getting into. So if you haven't already exposed them to the potentials of the job, you have to in the academy, but hopefully that's not the first time they hear about it. But then there are going to be some incidents you can't prepare anyone for.
That's fair.
And we're talking like that's that fire. That's some of these
Yeah.
things that you see you will never be prepared for, and you don't know how people react to it. And so that's why it's really important for departments to continue to work on, their peer support teams, their CISM, their PTSD programs, like, mental health, physical health, because you never know. That's the problem. Or that's, it's part of the unbelievably amazing thing about this job is that you never know what you're going to get, but it's also part of the problem is that you never know what you're going to get. And some days could be really bad.
And Chief Mosen, you brought up a point earlier, like if it's a small department, a large department or such, and obviously you're going to see a lot more things in a larger department than a smaller department. And that's why some people, I mean, we both worked in the same department. They'd come and say in an interview, why do you want to work here? Oh, I want to go to fires. I want to
Yeah.
do this. And it's like, when they're sitting there saying that to you, yet it's like, do they really think that's the correct answer that why they want to work here? Because you guys go to a lot of fires, I want to go to a lot of fires. When in the back of your mind, you're thinking, do you know what else we do? That's not. So, I mean, that's a whole nother aspect of like, okay, now they're in the process and they come back to you, or they're in the process and now they say, okay, I have an interview. Can you help me with the interview? So
But I mean, I don't know if that's on them so much as it is. I read an interesting talk about job preparation stuff. There was a prison. They kept losing prison guards, which is kind of what we do, right? And they kept losing prison guards because they would get to the guards would get to the prison, and then all these terrible things that people in prison. I mean, I don't know whatever people in prison do, but anyways, they were losing them. Going, hey, no, we're not. No one told us about feces, or whatever it was. And so they started prepping these people once they got through a certain part of the hiring process, not just, hey, welcome to the Houston Fire Department. Let's talk about feces, but that once they got to a certain part, they would show them, hey, this is what really happens. And they found, like the chief was saying, it was more cost effective. They didn't spend a lot of money training these people. and then they go, oh, negative, I'm not doing that. I don't know if the fire service could benefit from that, but good Lord, what would we tell them? I mean, sometimes getting up at 3 a.m. because someone's eyeball's been itching for 2 weeks is traumatic.
It's so true.
It's true, right? Yeah, you
Yeah.
expect the fires, you expect the burned bodies, kinda. I mean, right? But
But also, Kim,
you don't expect that endless tiredness. So,
but also like the more we can educate people about your specific department, because if
yeah.
somebody wants to be busy and they really want to see it, yeah, they're going to go to Houston, yeah, they're going to go to Oakland, like, but if they're applying for a department that doesn't see any fire and runs a lot of EMS, that could be like the
That's
prison guard syndrome, where people are like, wait,
right.
wow, this is not what I thought I was getting into.
Yeah, that's traumatic too,
And
right? Exactly.
we've had people like that. I mean, some of the lateral people in Oakland, Heather,
Oh, really?
that
Yeah.
came and didn't know that that's what they were getting into, which was kind of interesting. But
Hmm.
so
I think it's letting people know, like you said, everything from, yeah, you're going to have an opportunity to make a difference to somebody between life and death, and probably multiple times. You're also going to get up 3 times after midnight to pick grandma or grandpa up off the floor and put them back in bed. Like it's just part of it.
and I think with that goes is letting them know, hey, we don't transport, or we do transport, and there's a high probability you're going to be on the ambulance when you first start, or you're going to be rotated on the rescue, whatever you call it, as opposed to, we don't transport, so we're going to be waiting there till we get the contracted ambulance company here, so that they
Hmm.
understand, hey, if you're the medic on that engine, you're going to be being the medic on that engine until we get somebody here from another agency.
Yeah, I
So
mean, every department's different. I think everybody is different. And a comprehensive overview of the fire department should be on us too, rather than Chicago Fire. So, I don't
how
know.
about 911? Is that a good show?
No, none of that. I hate all that stuff.
I feel like I need to watch Chicago Fire. I don't
I've
Yeah,
never
I never
watched
have
it.
it. My
I have
my
only
sister
watched.
is always like, "Did you do that?" I'm all, "Yeah, I did that. You've seen me. Did I do that? No, I didn't do that." So,
Everybody dates everybody else in the fire station. There's Chicago Fire. We're done now.
oh,
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
we're required to work out, and the chief's always curmudgeoning the coffee. Yeah.
I think all of us will admit that. There's a tradition in the fire service. Um, it's an honored tradition. Generally, the public likes firefighters. They think you're their hero. There's a sense of unity. It's like you spend more time at the fire service than you spend at your house or with your own family and such. They become like your second family. So
Mm.
I think like when we are guiding someone that really wants to be a firefighter, that really understands the aspect of what a firefighter does and stuff, that we have to, not sugarcoat it, but we have to make sure that they do understand that it's a great job, that, that there is the tradition, the unity, the second family. You say you're going to move and someone's going to probably be at your house the next morning and such. Um, but I think, in my personal opinion, I think we also need to let them know, what they're getting. It's going to be long days. You're going to have long nights where you're not sleeping. And if they've done their homework, they already understand that. Like I was telling you, the kid at the gym, he already knew that. He already knew, hey, I'm going to we go on EMS calls. That's going to be more than more of the calls than a fire call. And, so I think when you're guiding somebody how to be a firefighter, I think you have to start with them understanding what the job of a firefighter really does, unless they don't know. And like Chief Mosey said earlier, you can kind of gauge if they're really interested in it or not, or they just hear that it's a great job because you get great benefits and great pay and you're off a lot. Um,
I think it's also incumbent upon us to exhibit that passion that I think if you've been in the fire service a certain amount of time, it doesn't matter if you're telling them something that's wonderful or maybe something that's not as attractive. The passion in your voice is there. Like it's probably going to come across to anybody I talk to that I'm a complete fire and EMS geek, and this is like the job of my life. Like I wouldn't
Yeah.
have it any other way.
What do they say? It's not what you say, but how you say it. So it's how
Yeah.
you present it. We could all sit here and agree it's the best job ever. It's not a job. I tell people it's not a job, it's a career. It's like every day you want to get up and go to work. It's something different every day. You're going to make friendships with people not only in your own department, but other agencies across the United States that you'll become really good friends with. And it's just, I mean, sure, you're going to see things that, you probably would never want to see, but we have the resources and such to help you deal with those things that you may see.
You're also not going to be the only one seeing it.
Exactly. So they understand. I
Point.
mean, and Chief Mosdine, I think all of us could probably agree, 10 years ago, um, PTSD and what was the big thing before EAP? Um, you didn't really hear about it. You rarely heard about EAP, you rarely heard about peer support and such, and mental health, and it's become really more on the forefront now, which is good, which is very good now. But unfortunately, we're still seeing firefighters and other professions not being able to deal with things and think the best way out is suicide. So I think that on a daily basis, we need to, and I'm totally going off topic, is that we need to check in with our people and make sure that everybody is okay. If we notice any kind of difference in anyone, we need to, take the precautionary steps to make sure that they're receiving the help that they need before it's too late for them.
Agreed.
We're almost out of time. Does anyone have anything to add?
This one went by fast. Usually they're grueling, Lisa.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks for the show of
Hey,
support for the women in
trying
fire
to
radio.
help, right? No, this was fun. I like all
And,
the new people you introduced us to. Oh, there it is. There's-
I just want to let everybody know that Women in Fire is accepting RFPs for the 2028 International Conference. You need to respond by January 31st of 2026. To find the RFP, you can go to the Women in Fire website, which is womeninfire.org, and look for the Women in Fire 2028 conference prep. And there will also be a webinar on November 21st. This show airs after that, but hopefully the webinar will be posted on the website about how to apply for the 2028 International Conference. And we hope to see you at our 2026 International Conference in Austin, Texas.
Oh, God.
Thanks for each guest for being a part of the radio show. Thanks again to Fire Engineering for allowing Women in Fire to be part of your podcast series. Thanks to all the listeners and members in Fire. Remember to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. And once again, to check out our website, womeninfire.org. And hopefully the website or the webinar that was airing on November 21st will be up there so that you could apply for the